Okay, recording. Hello, sisters and bro stars. I wanted to do this today, and please know that I'm not doing this out of response to anybody's posts. Maybe a little bit, but it's not like in backlash or trying to reach out and say no, that's wrong. Maybe a little. um, it's only because I guess I'm very protective of, um, I don't want to say new people coming in, newer people coming in. I am protective. And that's something that I've been told in the past I need to get over. And um, we all have to learn things on our path, and it's part of the lesson and part of the journey. And I kind of agree with that. But at the same time, I look back on my own journey and I'm thinking, there are many times that I wish I would have had someone there to say, no, that's not exactly true, and to set me on the right path a little bit sooner. Again, here we come with this right and wrong too, which really, oh God, that makes me cringe. And so from the get-go, I just want to say that I am no omnipotent being. I don't know everything. I'm not saying I know everything. And I certainly don't want to make it seem like I'm coming across that way. So when I do this video, I want to say it's coming from my point of view and what I have experienced over the past few years. So take it with a grain of salt. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I hope that makes sense. So before I even get started, I'm going to pull a card for the collective and see what the star beings have to say. I'm going to use the Syrian Starseed Tarot by Patricia Corey and Alyssa Bartha. I took a oh my goodness, a tarot course from Melissa. It was excellent, excellent. I highly suggest. She does them all the time. I can probably put a link to her website underneath. And if you're interested in a tarot course, she's probably one of the ones that I would trust that you could go to. Oh my goodness, I hope it's not going to be like this the whole time. I can't talk. So she palled up with Patricia Corey, who is a Syrian starseed and does Sirius type energy work, and she also travels around the world. And this is the Sirius symbol. So there's a little activation for you. Okay. Now, I would say a lot of these have to deal with Merlin and Arthur, that whole era, but they're also star related too. So I'm not very familiar with the Arthurian legends. I am sort of, but I've never really dug into that. So if you're into that, this might be a good deck for you. I've always been attracted to Merlin, but not so much the other ones. So I never really got into that. But there's a lot of stuff in this deck involving Glastonbury and that whole energy signature. So I always like to pull a card before I do a video or before I do a class or an event, just to see what my guides or the star beings have to say. I even connected with them today while I was in the shower. And I found out this week finally that, and I think I knew this all along, but I didn't really understand it, that I channel water. So some people channel skulls, some people channel crystals, some people channel all different kinds of things. I channel water. That's my Sirius roots. All right. 8 of Flames and Indigo. Interesting. So it's interesting indigo comes up because I've been working with a friend and she's been working with me. We're activating each other this week on the different color rays that we are and what we're here for. So 8 of Flames. Let's see what that has to say. If I can find it. Some of these books. Hold on here. Hold on here. Integrating all that creative fire is like igniting a flaming pinwheel of fireworks. When everything is out front and all creative ideas are equally respected and celebrated, pure combustion occurs. With all these elements coming together in such a powerful way, expect an explosive finale. Like the strength key in the major arcana, the 8 of Flames is ready to seize the moment, prepared to strike when the iron is hot. The wheels of creation are turning and something is about to pop. Feel the power of that energy whizzing around a central point, about to culminate in an explosion of creative fire. This key is also complemented by the Great Wheel in the Major Arcana, which speaks on a grander scale of the ending of a great cycle and the beginning of another. If they both appear in a reading, be ready for an all-out explosion and an enormous life-altering turn of events. So, I mean, I think that's really good for what I'm about to speak about today, in that integrating all of our creative thoughts and processes is going to be important going forward. The other one I pulled is Indigo. And I do want to read what this means. I know what it means for me, but let's see what the book has to say. Yep. This is perfect for what we're getting into. So thank you, universe, for pulling these cards. A new generation of starseeds is known, and they are known as the Indigos. Technically, this is not a new generation. They've been around for about 100 years now. Highly evolved souls, they come into life with their eyes wide open, endowed with a very clear understanding of who they are and what they have come to do. An indigo is a magician of sorts. He knows that he has the innate ability to create and mold reality through focused intention and with the use of the tools at his disposal in the world of matter. He recognizes that he is the water of the emotional body, the flame of power, the breath of life, and the crystalline body. Indigo's deep blue eyes are like the oceans of Gaia herself, magnetic, otherworldly, and infinite. Through them, he gazes out at the seeker just as he pulls her back into the endless seas of his being. He knows the immensity of his auric field and all that he brings from spirit into the three-dimensional reality. In his small but masterful hands, he offers a perfectly faceted quartz crystal, a lens to the other world. As quartz magnifies, stores, and transmits energy and conscious thought, so does the physical body, the temple of the soul, serve as a bioelectric unit of consciousness through which magic is made manifest. He is showing us an archetypal tool with which to sharpen our focus, offering us a magical gift. Through him, we glean an understanding of how using our conscious minds like a pure crystal, the focused lens, serves as a temple from which we weave the magic of our lives. Whether that focus is for the light or the darkness is up to the individual. It is the focused mind that determines the outcome. Indigo is the number one. He is the beginning, the new. He represents focused intention, concentration, and the art of manifestation. He invites you to ask these questions to yourself. How am I using my potential to manifest my desires? Am I using the tools available to me to affect my reality? What experience do I bring to the situation that can impact others? And am I misusing my power to achieve my desired outcome? This is so important. So important for what we're going to be talking about today. So I was really unsure even what to title this video. I was going to just talk about starseeds, and then I was going to name it Is Spirituality Becoming a Trend? I kind of want to touch on both, because I feel like both are necessary at this point in time. So I'm pretty sure what I am seeing collectively is something that is not new, that has been going on for God only knows how long, where just like everything else in life, spirituality and the communities that we are part of are constantly going through an ebb and flow of learning, of growth, of making mistakes and learning from those mistakes, of newbies versus elders. And that, again, when I say that, that's not putting anyone on a pedestal or putting anyone below. I see us all as equal. It's just the only terms that I can really think of at this point in time to get my point across, if that makes sense. But it's definitely not meant to label anybody or put some sort of preconceived notion out there that one is better than the other. That's not, that we're all equal. And so this ebb and flow, it's interesting because I've had so many conversations lately with people who are concerned about what they're seeing in the spiritual communities. And when I say that, I don't mean our local one. I'm talking widespread. So when I think about it, I almost have to laugh because we were having this conversation and many were concerned about the new flux of spiritualists that are coming into our communities and how it seems like they're not fully diving into the work or taking full responsibility for what they're putting out there. And so many are worried that the practices we once held sacred and dear are being not being taken seriously, or they're being taken too lightly, or we are teaching things way before we have actually learned anything. And so the practice of these different ways of, how should I say it? These different arts of spirituality and things of that nature, are they being upheld in the highest light? And those were the concerns that were coming through. And I had said at one point, you know, guys, I know that we're all concerned to a certain degree with what we're seeing, but if we go back and we look at it, we probably did the same thing. Because I can think back when I first started on this path, I was just so excited and I just wanted to share what I was learning with everybody else. Did everything I put out there on the interwebs, was it true? Was I doing my work? Well, at that time, yes, I thought I was doing my work. I didn't realize at the time I had a lot more to do. It's just part of being on the path and part of our growth and part of the cycle. And I remember when I was new, putting some videos out and getting a lot of like shaking heads and tisks from the older people on the path, because at that point, yeah, they knew better, or they knew more than what I did. And I remember feeling a little bit shunned at that point, because I felt like no matter what I had said, it was never good enough or it wasn't right. And so that's why I'm so careful now as to how this comes across, because I don't want to be that person we all have to start somewhere, and we all have to start in the beginning. And I think about, but then I also think about some of the arguments that I did get into with the elders. I call them the elders. I guess I'm old school. I don't know. But I remember being so upset with some of them at the time, feeling very judged. But now that I've been on my path for quite some time, and I have evolved a little bit, and I have seen deeper aspects of the spirituality and even the laws and different practices that kind of all culminate together, now I can see why the elders said that to me. And I kind of look back and I'm like, yeah, I was kind of obnoxious maybe, or I was maybe disrespectful to something they had been doing for years. But at the same time, I'm seeing it now as that was part of my path. And I had to learn, I had to make mistakes, I had to, I guess, play that role. And that's what I'm seeing now. I've seen it. I mean, I've only been on this path for like 10 years. So I haven't been doing this my whole life. And in only 10 years, I think I'm now on what I'm seeing the fourth wave of new incoming people on this path. So it's constantly evolving and changing. And it's always funny to me to see where I am in my development and on my path, how my perspective shifts about all these new people coming in. So again, perspective is so very important, and we're all going to experience it differently. Another thing that comes with that is also jealousy sometimes of the elders. I'm pretty damn wide open. I've said in a recent post, we were talking about jealousy, and I'm not going to sit here and ever pretend like I'm perfect and I have everything together 100% of the time. I don't. I'm human. And to be quite frank with you, I'm sick of this perfectionism that we all strive for in the spirituality community. It's toxic to me. And that's a whole other rabbit hole I don't even want to go down. But I'm seeing also another cycle there that's happening as I'm considering myself kind of intermediate now, maybe. And I see new people coming in, and it's every wave that comes in is going to be a little bit further ahead than where we were when we started. And that is by design. Right now, we have babies being born who are 10 times more open and aware than we ever were when we were born. And so these new indigo children that are coming in with each wave are going to be more and more awake and more open. So those who were in the first waves of this indigo starseed planting type of thing, yeah, they had it really hard. They had to figure out everything for themselves with no one else to really talk to, or they were the way showers. They were the ones who were out there doing this stuff before anyone even knew what it was, or, you know, it all came from intuition. It all came from their own developing their own programs through their intuition. We are so lucky now that this stuff already exists and we can learn from all these tutors. But at the same time, now all these new people coming in have this sense and level of intuition that keeps getting higher and higher and higher. The elders in the community, and I'm including myself in like an intermediate level here, have to be aware and be careful of any jealousy that comes in with that. And that's human. Of course, we're like, oh man, you know, they have it so easy now. They're so much more advanced now. It's easy to get jealous of that. But you got to realize, okay, one, it's okay for me to feel that way. Two, I need to hone in on that. That's on me, not on them. Three, they're supposed to be more intuitive than we were in the beginning because it's part of the process. Four, it's going to continue this way. And five, we need to find a way to deal with it, that it's not coming across as jealousy. Because I do see that happening too. And that's a cycle I see happening over and over again, where new people are coming in, more intuitive, more being able to do more, and then the elders getting a little bit jealous of that. Not all, just something I'm seeing in the underbelly. It's a cycle. It's just another cycle. So being aware of these things and how we can go about fixing that, just being aware of our own shit, basically. And I hate to say it that way, but that's really what it is. Now, this is tough for me to do something like this because, like I said, when I was new on the path and I was learning things that were false, I kind of, even to this day, I kind of wish I would have had someone there to be like, no, that's not exactly right. So I think what I'm going to do is just talk about what I've been seeing and my concerns and what I suggest in order to find the right information. Again, right and wrong can be so different for each person. But so obviously we all have different gifts. We all have different abilities. My belief is that we all have every single ability that we all are trying to figure out. It's just that some of us have more of a strength in one than the other. So for example, there are two things in the spiritual realm that I consider sacred and I'm very protective of, and that's mediumship and starseeds. Those are the two things that I connect to very easily, and I've been working on for so long. There are others out there who are really good channelers, or they're really good with crystals and crystal healing. They're good with music and music therapy, or just plain old energy healing, whether that's Reiki or oh, I forget what they call it now, like myofascial release, things of that nature. We all have something that we are good at, and then of course we're going to be protective of the art of that specific thing that we do. And this can go beyond the spiritual realm. If you're a teacher and you see another teacher doing some really bad things that are not for the highest light of the students, of course you're going to be protective of not only the kids, but the art of being a teacher. So I think that's where some of this concern comes in. And I know for me, it's certainly that way as well. It's not for me to sit here and shame and blame whatever's coming through or what's being shared. But I have to say, there are some concerns. I had seen a post recently that was going around quite a bit. I had received it last week sometime, and it got really, it shared a lot. And I know why it did, because we're all interested in the topic of star seeds. And I took the quiz and it was spot on. I got Sirius, and I'm Syrian. So I'm not saying that was totally wrong. It wasn't. But as I started looking at some of the answers that others were getting, I realized pretty quickly that whoever developed this quiz didn't really truly understand what star seeds were. And part of me, I kept pulling myself back, like, okay, Angie, is this your ego getting in the way? And perhaps a little bit, but it then turned into, I feel like this is coming up for me for a reason, and that I'm supposed to maybe speak on this a little bit. and I'm still struggling with it, as you can see. um, because I'm gonna lead into another thing here that so many people are seeing. I fear that what is really happening here is that spirituality is becoming a trend. And I'm sure you guys all see it. Someone just told me today that they are selling sage and crystals at Five Below. I noticed last year or the year before, Sephora came out with a makeup kit that was selling crystals and sage. And I thought, oh gosh, like somebody's taking something that I consider very sacred and ceremonial and very personal, and they're commercializing it and they're almost bastardizing it. And yeah, when you take this stuff seriously, it is kind of offensive, isn't it? Because you're like, you know, it just takes what you believe in so strongly and puts another like it bastardizes it, it taints it. So I think that's what I was seeing going on this week with this quiz that was going out. And I looked at the website and I could tell that the person that was running this is kind of new. And I'm not saying that they had bad intentions. They probably have great intentions, but this is where I also am a hypocrite, because I want to say I probably started my spiritual business 2 years after I woke up. And yeah, I was probably putting out information at the time that I thought was right. But now that I've been on my path a while, I know that it was wrong. So what do you do with that? What do you do with that? I wish I would have spent more time studying and going within and learning. And why did I feel the need to jump in and do that so quickly? I don't know. I think it's just because we're so excited about what we're learning and what we're doing. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just wish I would have seen the bigger picture. And I know at the time the elders did. And, there are people I should probably apologize to for calling me out on my stuff that was wrong. And I just got offended at that time instead of listening to them. So this starseed, what was really going on, and I should let you guys know, we're going to be discussing this week on Crystal Manila's page on her group, the Healing House Adventures. So if you're not already a member of that group, go ahead over there and click on like and become a member of the group, because she's going to be discussing starseeds all week. And she's also going to be talking about some of the things that she's seen, some of the things that she has experienced, and talking about her own journey. So, and I think we'll kind of get into this topic a little bit, and I was a little hesitant to even discuss it tonight, but I figured my people who are on my page will see it tonight, and then her people will see it on her page whenever we do it next week or this week. So there is a big difference between star seeds and earth seeds. And again, I want to say this again. This is my experience and what I have learned on my path. I'm not saying this is 100% truth. I just feel very strongly about what I'm seeing, and my intuition is like bucking when I read some of this stuff. So it all comes down to labels. And my guides have really been chattering in my ear the past 2 days, where all these labels that we put on everything are not necessary. Whether we're Pleiadian or Syrian or Lyran, or we're angelic, or we've only ever lived on Earth. one, those labels don't matter, because what they told me is we are all from source, so we are all a spark of the same energy, and where we chose to go from after that was our own decision. And so technically that all puts us on the same level. We're all angelics. We are all fallen angels at this point. Now, some people take that the wrong way. Fallen angel doesn't necessarily have to be bad, is in what we consider them to be in the Bible. We are fallen angels because we have fallen from higher levels of consciousness, but we did that with our choice, with our free will. It is possible our soul braids are very complex. So you could have been an angelic. You could have been a star being. You could have been an earth seed. You could be all three. You could have been an animal in another lifetime. You could have been, here's another one. You could have been a mixture of those races. There are a lot of hybrids. So it's very complex, and with our human minds, we tend to make things so very simple, and that's where we end up doing ourselves a huge disservice. So when people are out there and they're saying, I'm Pleiadian, I'm Lyran, I'm Syrian, you're really pigeonholing yourself into one being when you've been, God only knows how many, throughout eons of years. So some will say to me, well, why is it important to know who you were at one time? Technically, it's not important. It only matters who you are now in this lifetime and what you're doing now. However, I will say, yeah, sometimes you can use your past as a catalyst for the now moment. And I haven't been doing charts, and I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with them in the future. But I was using them as a tool to help catalyze people into remembering who they were, so that they could bring the gifts that they once had with them from other lifetimes and remember them now. Because if you had them then, you have them now. You just have to remember that so that you can open them up and use them again. So that was always my purpose. But seeing the mixture of what I was seeing in this web page was telling me that this person is putting a business out there about starseeds and is not even understanding what starseeds are. Technically, starseeds are also angelic energy. Those energies are also very high vibe, and I would consider them angelics, but they're different, and it's on a whole different level. And perhaps maybe this is me just being picky, I don't know, but there is a huge difference between telling someone they're a starseed if it was an ancient race here on Earth, an angel, and an actual star being. So what do we call them? Celestial beings, star beings? Because celestial beings also could be so many different things. So when we say star seeds, what do we mean? If we're talking about star beings, so Hyperborean, Lemuria, and Atlantis, I would not consider them star seeds, because they were ancient civilizations that were here on Earth. Each one of those was considered a different version of humanity. There are going to be 5 races, 5 of the human races. We are in the 4th right now, which is Aryan. There's going to be another one after us. That's the new coming age. So what that's going to be called, the crystals, the indigos, I have no idea what that's going to be called, but we're coming into that age now. Now, my guides made it very clear that we are all angels and we are all star beings, and other star beings are looking at us and calling us star beings, or their version of it. So we have to understand that too. But it was funny to me how they were mixing star races and ancient earth races, and Elohim and Seraphim, they are angelic races. So they protect the throne of God, and they have totally different missions than what star beings do. Totally different. Also, I should point out now I don't know much about Hyperborea. I haven't done a lot of work on that, but I know for Lemuria and Atlantis, yeah, there were star beings present there, helping them develop those civilizations, and even in Egypt too. But they weren't actually, the star beings that were there were kind of like us. They were star seeds. They were planted there to help with the actual human race that had been planted there before that. I hope that made sense. So when I saw the mixture of the different answers coming through, I'm like, oh, I'm not really liking this, because this is going to create confusion and this is misinformation. And then I think a lot of people were thinking that Lemuria was a star or a planet off in the celestial somewhere, and that's not true at all. That was here, that was current on Earth. So, and that's the other thing, when you're connecting, if you don't have the proper information, you're connecting to the wrong sources in the wrong places. So if you got Elohim or Seraphim, you should be connecting with the angelic realm and the angelic energies. If you got Hyperborean or a Lemuria or Atlantis, you need to be connecting to those energies, and even inner earth energies, because a lot of them are now still present, but they're in inner earth. So having the wrong information will affect the outcome of how you connect to them. So I don't know. I guess there's some method to my madness, and it is a shame to me to see spirituality becoming commercialized, because there are those of us who are going to take this seriously. We're going to do the work, and we're going to take our time, and we're going to do the connecting that we're supposed to be doing in order to get the answers. The answers, yes, you can research all you want. You can read all the books you want. In fact, I think that's amazing. The more you know, the better. But the real work comes when you connect yourself, whether you connect within or you connect through meditation, whatever it is. That information is so incredibly invaluable. And that's where I have 3 bookshelves over there of nothing but New Age books. The best information I've ever received has come from within, and I can't learn that in a book. So the difference between the commercial spirituality and those who are actually in it is so completely different. And so I think for those of us that are really in it and we are here, we're not going to go away in 10 years when this New Age craze goes away. We're still going to be practicing this because it's our way of life. And of course, we're going to be protective of it. So, and I kind of forgot where I was going with that. Oh, I tend to do this. Yeah, I lost it. I hope I'm really not coming across the wrong way with this, because I want to be empowering. I don't want to be disempowering. And when I talk about this stuff, it's not coming from a negative place. It's coming from a place of love. And I think concern is also, it can be a positive thing, because it means that you care. And I feel like sometimes I need to speak out on this stuff because I feel if somebody doesn't, it will continue. And I guess part of me is also hoping if one person, just one person, can see this and maybe recognize that, or know someone that's falling for the commercialism of spirituality, maybe they will understand that they're falling for it and be more careful about who they choose or what they choose to follow. We're all guilty of it. I'm including myself in that. My Reiki sound mentor is really good at putting out information for her students to make sure that we are practicing in integrity. And she put something out just last week of so many different things that I did not realize were false. Things about crystal bowls are not actually crystal bowls. There's no crystals in them. How different hertz of from 440 to 432 hertz really doesn't make a difference. One is not good and one is not bad for you. How different tuning forks are not technically geared towards certain things. So for example, I have angelic tuning forks and I have celestial tuning forks and I have DNA tuning forks. They're all tuned to different hertz. And it doesn't necessarily mean that one is connected to the angels and one is not. Now, how does that work with intention? I don't know, because when I use them, I'm intending that these are connecting you to the angelic realm, and I'm intending that these are connecting you to the star beings. So we all know how powerful intention is, but the actual science behind the hertz and what they connect to is completely different. So I think it's important to keep that stuff in mind because I don't know, maybe this is the realist in me. I'm a walking conundrum sometime in the spiritual community because a lot of the times I either need proof or science or some sort of, I need something that says this is real. And that's hard to do in a community where a lot of it is intangible and you can't prove it. And to be honest with you, that is why I do a lot of meditation and connecting within, because that is when I can feel it. You know when you're connecting, when you are getting something that's real. Unless I'm going crazy, when you're seeing things and visions are coming through, or when you're hearing things, or even when you're feeling strong emotions coming through. That's why I like doing my own work. That's my proof, at least for me. So yeah, I think I'm done babbling. Be careful of what memes you believe in, what you share. And I know that sometimes these things are fun to share. That quiz that I took, was it technically accurate? No, but it sure was fun to take, and it was fun to get an answer. I'm one of those people that, I'll take a quiz that tells me what potato chip I am. It's fun, but just be careful as to what you take to heart. And also, when you get readings, when you get charts, when you get things from other people, remember, this is their perception. It's not yours. Don't take everything to gospel. Do your own work. That is so important. I even say that with my charts. This is just for me to catalyze you to be I want it to be something that helps you remember, even if it's one little spark, but don't take it as gospel. And honestly, that's why I had stopped doing charts for so long, because I would give someone a chart and then they would take what I had said word for word as their absolute truth. And that doesn't sit well with me. I'm only giving you bits and pieces. You need to do more work on top of that. You need to be meditating or doing some sort of connection process and get your own answers. And, you know, the star beings had even told me that I was kind of tainting people's perceptions of their growth and their path because I was giving it to them. And then that was cutting them off from going any further. So I do plan on doing charts again at some point, but I'm going to be doing completely different. And I'm not quite sure what that looks like yet. So we shall see, but that probably isn't going to come until summertime. I think that's it. This lighting is awful. Hold on. That's better. That's better. Yeah, I think I'm done. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. I cannot express to you enough that your questions when you message me in Messenger, they're such good questions and they could help so many other people. I really, really, really want to get back to getting that stuff on the page. If you're really that shy about saying anything online, I kind of understand. But I feel like the more we can share online, the better we'll all be. Because I guarantee you, if you're asking it, someone else is asking it in their mind too. All right. Okay, I'm done. I hope you guys are well, and I will chat with you soon. Have a great night. Bye.